another day. We thank you for our community. We thank you for just blessing us with being able to live here and in this community. Father, we lift up all the citizens in our community. We ask for your protection on them, and we ask for your protection on us as we attempt to lead them through this strange time. Father, we ask that you will give us wisdom about how to proceed on important things today. And again, we thank you for your grace and your protection. And it's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Commissioner Lyons is going to lead us in the pledge here. So, sorry, we've got you muted, Paul. Gretchen, we've got Paul. There we go.
Ready? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
All right, takes us to the approval of the minutes of the meeting of April 20th, 2020. And we've had those in front of us here. So.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of April 20, 2020.
A second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. All signify by raising your right hand.
Got it.
Opposed, like sign. Okay. I couldn't see, but I think we're unanimous there. So. All right. Next is the item number 5, approval of the minutes of the emergency meeting of April 29, 2020. Would entertain a motion if there's not corrections.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the emergency meeting of April 29, 2020.
Second.
Right. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously, I believe. So,
who are we giving that second to, Mayor?
Can we not give that one to everyone? I think everybody seconded.
I think we did.
Was Randy first?
Yeah,
Randy?
we'll give him the first. We'll give him the
Okay, we'll put Randy on this one then. So,
Perfect.
Okay, takes us to public comments. Comments from interested citizens. Do we have anybody that has signed in? So,
I did not receive any speaker cards, and I don't see any questions in the chat, Mayor.
thank you. Okay, item number 7 is the first of 3 required readings of ordinance number 1125, First Amendment to Atmos Energy Franchise Agreement. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is something we've been talking about for at least maybe 2 years now from my history lessons from y'all. So we have gone ahead and prepared those to be as such. I've reached out to Atmos, which is our first one. And so we're currently at 4% gross receipts for the franchise, and we're looking at moving to 5. And so we're just moving up 1%. And you should have those numbers in supplement to the agenda memo of what that looks like and what'll bring. And so looking about another 34,000 or so. Gas, obviously, it fluctuates quite a bit with weather. And so some years we've brought in 150 and 160. Ultimately depends on how cold it is at times. So This franchise agreement and in regards to our city charter requires 3 readings. And so this will be the first reading. In regards to that city charter provision, it is a full reading. So those that may have remembered this from 2011 was the last time we did this. We have to read the full amendment and from start to finish. So y'all get to enjoy that here in a second. Overall, this has been discussed numerous times already. It's just, I believe it's kind of a given that we were going to move this way. But I'd be happy to answer any questions. The only specific issues are not issues, but just uniqueness is we do have to have a public hearing before we do the final action. That's in the actual franchise agreement for some reason. It's only like that in the Atmos one. And then we have to do the 3 readings. And so I have put those at our next 2 meeting dates. Today is the first reading. The second reading is May 18th, which is our next commission meeting. And then our final would be our June 1st meeting. And that's also when we would do the public hearing. The amendment will increase to 5%, and then we'll add 5 years on that. State statutory authority only grants up to 5%. So we'll be at that. Most cities in the region have already gone to this 5%. So we don't have, Mr. Mayor, no formal action. If y'all want to ask questions right now, I'd be happy to take those. If not, we'll turn it over to reading the full amendment. So.
I think both of these are some, like Joe said, something that we really agree to, and you know, it's philosophically it's commissioned back some time back too, I think. So this has been a direction we've had for some time. So, but I don't have to read it this time. I think Gretchen's recorded it or reading it. Is that right? So
yes, sir. So if y'all are ready, we'll go ahead and play that. It'll take what, 5 or so minutes, Gretchen?
Five or six.
5 or 6 minutes to play through, y'all.
Sorry, you have to hear my voice.
Mr. Mayor, are you good with going ahead and doing that, sir?
yeah, I don't believe, doesn't look like there's any other questions. So yes, that's great.
So what will be read is in your agenda packet. So, but per our charter, we have to read it. We'll have to read it at each meeting.
Ordinance number 1125, an ordinance of the City of Canyon, Randall County, Texas, amending the existing gas franchise between the city and Atmos Energy Corporation, a Texas and Virginia corporation with its principal office in the city of Dallas, Dallas County, Texas, to provide for a different consideration, provide for a different expiration date, providing an effective date, providing for acceptance by Atmos Energy Corporation, finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. Whereas Atmos Energy Corporation, Atmos Energy or the company, is engaged in the business of furnishing and supplying gas to the general public in the city of Canyon, the city, including the transportation, delivery, sale, and distribution of gas in, out of, and through the city for all purposes, and is using the public streets, alleys, grounds, and rights-of-ways within the city for that purpose under the terms of Ordinance Number 932, as amended by Ordinance 967, heretofore duly passed by the governing body of the city and duly accepted by company. And whereas the city and Atmos Energy desire to amend said franchise ordinance to provide for a different consideration and expiration date. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Section 1, in Section 2.1 of Ordinance Number 932, the termination date of the franchise ordinance heretofore duly passed by the governing body of the city and duly accepted by the company is hereby changed to March 31st, 2031. Section 2. In Section 4.1 of Ordinance Number 932, the consideration payable by Atmos Energy for the rights and privileges granted to company by the franchise ordinance heretofore duly passed by the governing body of the city and duly accepted by the company is hereby changed to be 5%. Section 3. in all respects, except as specifically and expressly amended by this ordinance, the existing effective franchise ordinance heretofore duly passed by the governing body of the city and duly accepted by Atmos Energy shall remain in full force and effect according to its terms until said franchise ordinance terminates as provided therein. Section 4. This ordinance shall take effect upon the first day of the calendar quarter following its final passage and Atmos Energy's acceptance. Atmos Energy shall, within 30 days from the receipt of this ordinance, file its written acceptance of this ordinance with the office of the city secretary in substantially the following form. To the Honorable Mayor and City Commission, Atmos Energy Corporation, acting by and through the undersigned authorized officer, hereby accepts in all respects on this, the first day of June 2020, ordinance number 1125, amending the current gas franchise between the city and Atmos Energy Corporation. Atmos Energy Corporation, West Texas Division, by Philip Littlejohn, Vice President. Section 5. The city shall provide a copy of this ordinance to Mr. Philip Littlejohn, VP of Rates and Regulatory Affairs, Atmos Energy Corporation, 6606 66th Street, Lubbock, Texas, 79424, no later than 10 business days after its final passage and approval. Section 6. It is hereby officially found and determined that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, and that public notice of the time, place, and purpose of said meeting was given as required. Read in accordance with the Canyon Home Rule Charter, Section 3.17, by the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, with a quorum of such commission duly and lawfully assembled on the first reading on the 4th of May, 2020. City of Canyon, Texas, Gary Henders, Mayor. Approved, Chuck Hester, City Attorney. Attested by Gretchen Mercer, City Secretary. Read in accordance with the Canyon Home Rule Charter, Section 317, by the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, with a quorum of such commission duly and lawfully assembled on the second reading on the 18th of May, 2020. City of Canyon, Texas, Gary Henders, Mayor. Approved, Chuck Hester, City Attorney. Attested, Gretchen Mercer, City Secretary. Ordinance passed and adopted in accordance with the Canyon Home Rule Charter, Section 3.17, by the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, with a quorum of such commission duly and lawfully assembled and voting on the third and final reading of the 1st of June, 2020. City of Canyon, Texas, Gary Henders, Mayor. Approved, Chuck Hester, City Attorney. Attested by Gretchen Mercer, City Secretary.
It was impressive. I didn't realize you were that good at ventriloquism.
I am.
You did that particularly well, Gretchen, so that was good. So,
Thank you.
only had to breathe twice, I think, so.
Mr. Mayor,
All right.
other necessary items with this, unless there's any other questions. Just a reminder, for a basic level, franchise fees are what utility companies pay to lay their infrastructure in our city right-of-ways. And so that's the fundamental basis of what franchise are. So as the Constitution indicates, any city in Texas cannot give anything away without fair market value, and that's what those franchise fees go into, the fair market value for basically rental space in our right-of-way.
All right. With that, no action at this point. And that takes us to item number 8, which is the first reading of 3 required readings of ordinance number 1126, First Amendment to SBS franchise agreement. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This one is currently set at 3%. It's also a unique franchise agreement. The agreement only allows us to go up by 1.51%. I'm not sure where that came from, but that would bring us from 3 to 4.51. The remaining 0.49% will have to go on to the next rate case, which is coming in late 21 or 22. So it may be a little far out. And so in regards to that, it will have to go on to that rate case. But those are pretty pretty common. Not really anything big change here. This will bring in a significant amount more of funding for us. There was a pretty detailed section from SPS. I want to say thank you for them for providing that in terms of the financial aspect of it. So we are currently bringing in about 330 to 365 a year. Once we move up to this, we'll be bringing in 522,000 a year. So 174,000 more dollars. So pretty significant in this regards. But other than that, they didn't decide to change the year at all in this. So we'll continue with the regular agreement. We'll just be amending the franchise fee, and that will be going to 4.51 with the 0.49 going on the next case. Like Atmos, it has 3 readings. That's our Canyon City Charter provision. Gretchen has also recorded that one as well. Other than that, y'all, there's not really much. No public hearing for this one. Other than that, it is quite a bit of an increase in revenue for the city. Anybody have any questions? If not, Mr. Mayor, are you okay with moving forward with the recording?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Gretchen?
Ordinance number 1126, First Amendment to Franchise Agreement. An ordinance amending ordinance number 934, which granted Southwestern Public Service Company, SPS, a franchise within the city of Canyon, Texas City to conduct an electrical lighting and power business and to have use of city's public streets, alleys, highways, bridges, and other public grounds to public right-of-way as specified in ordinance number 934 to revise the percentage of gross receipts paid as a franchise fee for the use of city streets, alleys, highways, bridges, and other public grounds, providing for rate recovery of franchise fees, providing for severability, providing for repealer, providing savings clause, and providing for an effective date. Whereas the current franchise agreement between the City of Canyon, Texas, the city, and Southwestern Public Service Company, SPS, is set out in ordinance number 934, which passed on January 31st, 2011. And whereas the city and SPS now agree to this First Amendment to the franchise agreement as set forth below, in order to increase the percentage of gross receipts the SPS pays as a franchise fee and for SPS's recovery of that increase in the fee. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Section 1, Facts. The facts and matters set forth in the preamble of this ordinance are hereby found to be true and correct. Section 2, Amendment number 1, Part number 1. Ordinance number 934, Section 3, first sentence is amended in part to delete the words 3% and in lieu of those words to insert the words 4.51% in their place. Section 3, Amendment number 1, Part number 2. Ordinance number 934, Section 3 is amended in part by adding the language below in place of the entire third sentence of Section 3 and reads as follows. A 1.51% franchise expense is currently embedded in SPS's system-wide rates. All franchise expense payable to the city above 1.51% of gross receipts will be surcharged back by SPS to all retail customers taking service from SPS within the city until the earliest of the effective date, relate back date, or temporary rate date of new dates in SPS's next base rate proceeding before the Public Utility Commission of Texas, which for the avoidance of doubt is not docket number 47527, at which time the portion of the franchise fee that is subject to surcharge to the retail customers taking service from SPS within the city will be determined, and the percentage that is subject to surcharge will be subject to change from time to time as determined in rate proceedings before the Public Utility Commission of Texas. Section 4, Savings. except as amended in sections 2 and 3 of this ordinance, the remainder of the ordinance number 934 shall remain in full force and effect according to its terms until ordinance number 934 terminates as provided therein. Section 5, acceptance and effective date. SPS shall, within 30 days from its receipt of this ordinance, file its written acceptance of this ordinance with the City Secretary of the City of Canyon, Texas, in substantially the following form, and upon the filing of such acceptance, the amendments set out in sections 2 and 3 of this ordinance shall be incorporated into ordinance number 934 and be effective as the date of filing such acceptance. To the Honorable Mayor and City Commission, Southwestern Public Service Company, acting by and through the undersigned authorized officer, hereby accepts in all respects on this, the first day of June 2020, ordinance number 1126, amending the current electric franchise as established in ordinance number 934 between the City of Canyon, Texas and Southwestern Public Service Company. Section 6, severability. If any provision, section, subsection, sentence, or clause of this ordinance or the application of this ordinance to any person or set of circumstances for any reason is held to be unconstitutional, void, or invalid, or for any reasonable reason unenforceable, the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance or the application of this ordinance shall remain in effect. It being the intent of the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, in adopting this ordinance that no portion thereof or provision contained herein shall become inoperative or fail by any reasons of unconstitutionality of any other portion or provision. Section 7, repealer. All ordinances, resolutions, and parts of ordinances or resolutions in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed to the extent of conflict with this ordinance. Read in accordance with the Canyon Home Rule Charter, Section 3.17 by the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, with a quorum of such commission duly and lawfully assembled on the first reading of May 4th, 2020. City of Canyon, Texas, Gary Henders, Mayor. Approved, Chuck Hester, City Attorney. Attest, Gretchen Mercer, City Secretary. Read in accordance with the Canyon Home Rule Charter, Section 3.17, by the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, with a quorum of such commission duly and lawfully assembled on the second reading on the 18th of May, 2020. City of Canyon, Texas, Gary Henders, Mayor. Approved, Chuck Hester, City Attorney. Attest, Gretchen Mercer, City Secretary. Ordinance passed and adopted in accordance with the Canyon Home Rule Charter, Section 3.17 by the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, with a quorum of such commission duly and lawfully assembled and voting on the third and final reading of 1st of June, 2020. City of Canyon, Texas, Gary Henders, Mayor. Approved, Chuck Hester, City Attorney. Attest, Gretchen Mercer, City Secretary.
Amen.
Well done. Well,
Thank you.
I think that has us taken care of then for the first reading, and we'll look forward to hearing that 2 more times, Gretchen. So thank you. So.
Anybody have any follow-up questions?
So Joe, looks like a little over 200,000, and then there's another, once we get that last piece, it'd be a little over 250, something like that. So
yes, Mr. Mayor, that's about right.
Rough, man. Okay.
Yep.
Good deal.
It may be a few years before we get that last little piece, so I just want everybody to be aware of that. But we've done everything in our duty to obtain it, and so it's just a waiting game until the next rate case.
Well, if there are no further questions or discussions on this, I would entertain.
Before we adjourn, I will make a motion that we're going to look at trying to do a work session at the May 18th agenda. So I just want to put that out there to get y'all in the right shape of mind for that. So Joel and I are working on Public Finance Investment Act policy, as well as a fund balance and reserve policy. of how much y'all want to commit and keep in reserves. So we have something tied into that, into the PFIA. We're going to separate that out and make its own policy. We've already started on that, but it'd definitely be a good discussion. And then this body is this is one of your primary things, of how much we want to keep in reserves. So no better time than now to think about that.
Joe, will that begin at 3:30?
That's possible, yes. So, and that conversation will encompass our net cash position, what cash we have on hand, as well as looking at the obligations we have on our debt summary. So that will encompass all that. But Joel and I will be leading those efforts. So we would look to hopefully move to have a work session on that, and eventually updating the Public Finance Investment Act policy that we have. And we should look at that every year, and then also adopting the fund balance and reserve policy. So it's definitely a new thing. A lot of cities have that, but I thought it would be nice for y'all to look at, and it'll help guide us if we do move towards a capital improvement plan. But that's what we're looking at on the horizon for next meeting.
Good deal. Well, with that, would entertain another motion.
Very reluctantly make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you all. We
I
stand
feel
adjourned.
I feel like we're set up perfect for the Brady Bunch. And if I don't know if everybody else's screen is the same, but I've got to look down at you, Mr. Mayor, to make a motion.
Well,
I gotta look over to you.
I actually wore a City of Canyon shirt today too. I didn't do a very good job displaying that proudly, but anyway. So
I was thinking Hollywood Squares.
There are a few characters in the mix.
Thank you, everyone. God bless.
Thank you.